Yes, it's time to bring back Marvel vs. Capcom 2. My history with Marvel vs. Capcom started with this game. I remember seeing the PS3 and 360 remaster and thinking, this game looks kind of fun. And since I was already a huge fan of Marvel, and seeing how big the roster size was, I had to check it out. I remember there was actually a free demo for this game, and you could just pay for the unlock. So there were some characters on the Marvel side that I hadn't even seen before yet, because I was still not that familiar with Marvel comics. Eventually I bought it on PS3, and it easily became one of my most played games on the whole system. Not only the arcade mode, but especially the multiplayer with my friend Coop. We would play this game in person when we all came together and hung out at my house, and we'd also play it online since the online was actually really good for that game. Even though we also had Marvel vs. Capcom 3, we kept returning to Marvel 2, and I remember being very sad when the game was delisted, thinking, oh man, why do this Disney, why do this Capcom? But luckily we both had the game on PS3 still, and we could download it again if we ever had to get a new PS3, for example. But unfortunately, PS3 games are only playable on PS3. So there is no legitimate way to play this game on modern PCs or consoles. And considering we're now 2 generations later with the PS5 and the Xbox Series, that's a huge problem Capcom and Marvel need to address for this game. There's a laundry list of reasons why Marvel vs. Capcom 2 needs to come back for newcomers, old fans, just gaming history's sake, for the culture. The game is one of the most iconic fighting games in history. Not being able to play this legitimately on current hardware is a complete travesty. Luckily I have one. I have the copy on my PS3 still, and I'm even fortunate enough to live close to an old arcade that actually has a real cabinet of the game. The amount of joy I had when I first saw that cabinet in the flesh was undescribable. I played it all day pretty much. I went there expecting to play other games, but nope, all my money went into playing that game on the official arcade cabinet. It was pure bliss. But I can guarantee that not everyone is so lucky. I doubt everyone around me has a nearby arcade that has Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and of course not everybody was lucky enough to buy the game on PS3 or 360 back when it was still available. Even the backwards compatibility on Xbox doesn't support this game. I don't believe that's even on the supported game list. Besides, this game needs to return, and let's be honest, it will make a lot of money for Capcom and Marvel. The music of Marvel 2 was criticized a lot when the game came out. Why is there jazz in a fighting game? And yeah, that's a weird choice on paper, but now I can't imagine the music any other way. One of my favorite tracks for the game is the cave stage. We have a tradition at my house when we're playing the game. We always just stay still and wait until after the vocal. Stuff like that is just one part of the fun memories we have on the game. The artwork is also gorgeous. I especially love the in-game visuals and graphics. While the characters are sprites, the backgrounds are 3D. It gives a similar feel to some of the early PS1 era RPGs, and it also reminds me of those 2D Disney films that use deep canvas. Films like Atlantis, Tarzan, and Treasure Planet, which were all using a combination of 2D animation with CG backgrounds or CG effects. Those are staples of the late 90s, early 2000s. It was a unique time, and while some of it has been dated, a good amount of it is still an enjoyment to see and has a certain charm to it. I would argue that most of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 still holds up, and some things are just straight up timeless. This game getting re-released would make me buy it on every platform that I own. I consider it one of my personal favorite games of all time. I still listen to the soundtrack often, and every time I see Iron Man in a movie, game, comic, or TV show, I just can't wait for him to do a fucking infinite and pull out the proton cannon. Long story short, Disney, Marvel, Capcom. Free Marvel vs. Capcom 2. The fans want it. I want it. I would buy copies on every platform I have, and so would a lot of other people. So bottom line for the companies, what they want to hear, this would make you a lot of money.